think you'd see us, did you?
Well, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Yeah, we're glad you took some time today. But yes, we are broadcasting, but technically we're not here.
Portions of this episode are previously recorded.
And when we say portions, we mean all of it.
Yes.
But
a good Thanksgiving portion.
But we wanted to make sure that we spent some time with you today. We think
Yeah.
that it is important enough for us to build this into our schedule this week so that we could spend some time with you today.
Yes.
So, with this being pre-recorded, one of the things that I will be doing on Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Have you made your?
By the time you watch this, we have already had brunch with Carl, my son,
Okay.
and his girlfriend
Some family
Noelle.
time.
Yep, and I'm making that cinnamon bun French toast bake thing that is like a million calories, but it is so good, but it is so easy. I think I put it in the cookbook, by the way.
Oh.
But it's really good, and it tastes, like I said, a little bit like French toast, a little bit like bread pudding. Have you ever had bread pudding?
Ooh,
This thing is like crazy easy to make, and it comes out of the oven hot, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's a sin. I'm just telling you, it's that good. So that, and then probably right now, and no exaggeration, right now on Thanksgiving, we will be at dinner at family. We decided rather than do the 8 hours of food prep, an hour of eating, and then 2 hours of dishes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We decided to go out, and so we are at the Bootlegger.
Okay.
And we've done this before on holidays, gone to the Bootlegger, and I'll tell you why. And if some of you old-timers know, used to be just down the street from us here at Trop and Eastern.
Oh, okay.
Where the Putters is now.
Yeah.
That used to be the Bootlegger for years and years and years and years and years. That's where part of the movie Casino was filmed there.
Oh.
When the character Joe Pesci played had a restaurant there, which by the way, now I'm going off topic. He played a guy who was loosely based on Tony Spilotro.
Okay.
And from the Chicago outfit. But Tony Spilotro actually lived in the neighborhood over by Paradise Park, over at McLeod and Tropicana. Like, he just lived down the street back in the day.
Wow.
Anyways, we're going to be...
All that history
All
there.
that history.
Yes.
The Las Vegas, right here on the east side.
Yeah.
So the reason we picked the Bootlegger is, A, it's closer to the house now for where we live. 2, they serve a full-on Thanksgiving dinner.
Okay.
And that appeals to part of my household.
Yeah.
They also have their full menu.
Because what was it your mom said that you
Don't make a mockery of my meal.
Don't make a mockery.
Yeah,
of
do
it.
not make a mockery of my meal.
Yeah.
So this gets at not making a mockery. Anybody who wants
Yes.
turkey can have turkey. And then I will be eating ravioli.
Ravioli.
I'll be having ravioli.
Yes.
Nice.
You'll make your own mockery of it.
I will do
Yes.
it myself at my seat.
Yes, but it has plenty of options for people.
That's right.
Yeah.
However, have you ever heard of the grill, like outdoor cooking grill called the Weber Grill?
Sure have.
So they're out of Chicago.
Yeah.
They make the kettle grills. But in Chicago, they actually have Weber Grill restaurants owned by the same
I didn't
company.
know that. Yeah.
And so their shtick, I guess for lack of a better word, is they grill on really big Weber kettle grills, in their kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So one Thanksgiving, and it was a quiet Thanksgiving because folks were traveling and I think it was just me. I'm pretty sure it was just me and my mom and dad. So this is going back a number of years. And I ended up taking them to the Weber Grill restaurant where my mom did get her turkey dinner.
Mm-hmm.
So she was happy. And then I got to order brisket. So that was...
You had it all.
Everybody got
Yes.
what they wanted. And that's what's important. So anyways, so whether you're going out today or whether you're having a simple meal at home or whether it's gathered around, we hope that there is a moment to be thankful
Yes.
for any number of things in your life.
Yes. No, and that's that's at the heart of it. That's what
Yeah,
it's all about.
that's
so,
right.
Yeah, it looks a little different. I know in my family, it looks a little different every single year.
Every
but-
single year, it's a little
yeah.
different. I mean, there were years when I was in San Francisco, and it was just Rachel and I, some of the time, and some of the times it was one or maybe two of the kids, and then, it's always been a little different, and it's hard pressed for me to think about. It's probably when I lived in Chicago was the last time that we had kind of everybody under the same roof at the same time. And and that's just the reality of life in the 2000s, right? Or
Yeah.
the 2020s, right? And so anyways, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We hope everything's going well, and even if it's a quiet day, we hope that there is a little bit of gratitude for what God has done in your life, and that you have this notion of, even if it's quiet, that there's a thankfulness for that solitude today too.
Yeah.
Yep. And we really do. And really, I'm telling you, we were talking about this. We're at the convergence of a lot of crossroads.
There's, especially in the church calendar,
That's
there's
what
a
I
lot
mean.
of things
Yeah.
that are all happening right now, from end of the year, beginning of the year, to
Right. So you remember we celebrated the end of the church year on Christ the King Sunday back on Sunday.
which is his own thing, Christ the King.
Right.
Yes.
And then Thanksgiving Eve worship, which is it's an American thing, obviously, but we still incorporate that into what we do.
But it's a
We do
very
that.
worship-filled thing. I
Absolutely.
mean, Thanksgiving and giving gratitude,
Yep.
all of that.
And then we turn the page into the new church year by this weekend. So Saturday and Sunday will be in the season of Advent, or Advent is another way of saying kind of revealing, or showing up, or unveiling.
arriving
The
and,
arriving Advent, the advent of our King, or the arrival of our King. Not only when we think about it as Christmas, but also thinking about at the end of time Christ returns, the advent or the coming of our King. So we got all of these things kind of floating around, and it's fun planning worship because we have some overlap in this, meaning we're talking about our core values. We talked about serving and servant king.
Yep.
Right?
So we're still looking at all of that
But
stuff.
we're moving into Advent, and Advent could often stand alone, but we're going to talk about generosity because it's the last of our core values. But at the same time, we're going to light an Advent candle.
We got hope going on.
Yeah, we've got all sorts of stuff, right?
Yes. So it is. Yeah, it's one of those where you just kind of look, and it's smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord
Sunday.
of stuff,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And but we will move through the season purposefully,
right.
and nothing is ever piecemealed or rushed or made up on the spot. That we will take the time to intentionally go through the season of Advent and kind of make our arrival on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. And so as you're able to join us for the next 4 weekends, we certainly the invite's there, but also don't forget, by Wednesday, this coming Wednesday, what do we have? But we have our first noon Advent service too, worship. So you have an opportunity to join us at noon, either in person, but certainly online. But if you come in person, you can absolutely have lunch with us too.
Yeah, so we just gather at noon. We have a worship service. It doesn't last all that long,
No.
but by 12:40 we're making our way
In to
over
have
to
some lunch,
the
too.
over to the fellowship hall to have some lunch.
Yep. So a great season. Also, one of the other things that will be available starting this weekend, not in this moment, but this weekend, is we will have an Advent devotional,
right.
one that I have been a contributing author to. So we have a daily Advent devotional. Not only will we have print copies at the front desk upstairs or at the welcome desk.
And you got yours in on time, and everyone
did.
else did got theirs in on
I think
time.
so.
Because I know sometimes it comes right down to the wire printing those off.
And we got the hard copy at the end of last week, which is ahead of time. We got those printed, so there's daily Advent devotionals this weekend up at the welcome desk, as well as we will put it on the website because it's a document that one can click open and look at too. So if you can't make it, you can always use the Advent devotional online on our website. So all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So
Very cool.
It is a wild, wild ride for us on staff here, as it is every year. But we're going to try to catch a wave and let it take us.
Let's catch the wave
to where we're headed. So this past weekend, we had some great music all weekend long in worship. I did that last week.
I know. Look at that.
So it was
at
last Thursday. So on Thursdays, it's now about kicking the wreath. Well done.
Yeah.
If we were super,
time's a charm.
if this was super
Yes.
sophisticated, we'd edit that out.
You're not going to edit that out.
This is real life.
This is
This
real
life.
people.
Real people.
Yes,
Doing
kicking things over.
Really dumb things. That's right. But this past weekend, we had some great music on Christ the King Sunday, and as a part of that, a song that the choir and Joan Sobel did asks the question, what kind of king? And so let's sit back, take a deep breath, and as we are thankful for all that God has done, let us revisit and ask ourselves the question, what kind of king? So let's take a listen.
What kind of king with a destiny so grand would be born to such a simple ground, to offer hope that carries us past the wildest dreams? I long to know. What kind of king? What kind of king has a star up in the sky, shining down to all who seek the way? For weary souls searching to find what light can bring, I long to know. What kind of
I could listen to that again and
Wow.
again, right?
Wow, that'll put you in the mood for Christ the King Sunday.
Right.
Wow.
And it's just one of those things where it's just like, I just want to be near Joan Sobel. Just
She's incredible. And then she wants to come and sing in our choir every week.
and one of the nicest people you'd ever want to meet.
And that's just it. Like
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
But ask the question. So this comes from a musical called One King, written music by Robert Sterling and others contributing in terms of lyrics. Tells the story of the wise men, the Magi, journey to see the baby Jesus. This whole piece called One King contains traditional carols, contemporary songs, and scripture-based narratives, which includes the song "What Kind of King." And, when we think about kingship, I said on Sunday, I'm like, I really like the thought of using king language in our context or our culture because it's so antithetical to the United States, right?
Sure.
I mean, I just finished watching Ken Burns' Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
And, one of the big discussions within the Continental Congress was when writing a constitution, like what should be the name of the leader of the United States of America. And they wrestled with that because, king was one of the options. And because, there's only so many titles and actually George Washington dissuaded them from using that as the name of the head of the executive branch.
Wow.
And so, but it was bandied about for a while and ended up with president. And so I like the title king because it kind of makes us go, oh, we're not from a place that has a king.
Right.
And yet, at the same time, as a person of faith, if we take our faith seriously, and what Paul says, he says our citizenship is of heaven, then in some ways you need to get over that because we do have a king, at least if you call yourself a Christian.
Right.
And I think that's important to think about.
I think it is, especially when, you have other verses which also point to the fact that we might say we don't have a king, but we'll find ourselves worshiping or metaphorically bowing down to something. And if we've got to think really hard about is this Christ?
Yeah,
that I'm
that's
bowing down to, or if not, what am I putting that's above Christ?
All my allegiance,
And
all my loyalty.
what am I pouring myself into in that way?
Absolutely.
And do we really want to be doing that? Yeah.
Right. I mean, idols that we create, even if it's ourselves, we end up elevating it to a position higher and above what God can do for us and will do for us. And so it ends up being empty. That's why we call them idols. It ends up letting you down,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But I certainly like this notion of having a king in a world, or at least in a country where we don't have kings, right? And maybe even kind of shy away from that. But yeah, I think there's really a struggle here to think about what do we put our trust into? And why do we find security in things that ultimately, maybe in the short term is fine, but can actually let you down or leave you at least empty? Like, oh, that didn't provide this security that I thought it was going to, or this endless joy that I thought it was. And so I think it's important to evaluate that. And of course, turn to the one who says, I will always be there for you and I will walk with you. And when you think it's the end, it's really just the beginning, right? Like all of these great promises that we can cling to. But I mentioned on Sunday this notion of that Jesus isn't just a hereditary king, like in a bloodline, although he is related to David, King David, that he is far above that because he's also God in the flesh, God incarnate, right? Or God with us. So we have a divine king more than a hereditary bloodline king. And if you jump all the way to the end of the story, Revelation,
Okay.
there's a place where the final judgment begins, at least the way John, the disciple, sees it. And he has this vision of what the final judgment will look at. And in Revelation 17:14, this is just one little section of it. It says, they, that is the enemies of God, will make war against the Lamb, that is the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world. But the Lamb will overcome them because he is Lord of Lords and King of Kings. And with him will be his called, chosen, and faithful followers. Even if that's metaphorical, you think about, like, which side of the divide do you want to be on? Even if this is like kind of an image for us to think about, that God wins in the end, because that's ultimately the theme of Revelation, is God wins in the end. Right. And
which still points to the fact that you still want to be on God's side there.
That's exactly right. So when that happens and the metaphorical battle lines are drawn, I think I want to be counted with the called, the chosen, and faithful.
Yes.
I want to be with that king.
And that's also the king that has also been with us now and always
will be.
still loves us and cares for us.
Exactly.
Why not stand with that side?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm hoping to be, right? Even if that's just a narrative to help us understand God wins in the end, I still think, even metaphorically, that's where I want to be. Yep.
Great.
That will be a fun book to study when we finally get to Revelation, folks. There's so much there.
There's a lot. It's intimidating to a lot of people, too.
It is. And it is not meant to be read as a timeline to check boxes for Christ's second coming.
That's where I think people will get into trouble.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get into the little sidebar there. But I mean, it is. When people start to say, okay, this can happen, then this will happen, then this will happen.
And, somehow
and then you get lost in there, and you never really come out.
No, that's right. And there's been a lot of, and I know it's Thanksgiving, so I shouldn't go too deep. There's been a lot of Kool-Aid drinking on this book over the years in Christianity.
Yes.
And we don't want to take Occam's razor, which is a theory that says the simplest explanation is probably most likely the right one. And we can simplify Revelation to make it understandable within its context. So we'll get there eventually. We still got to finish the Old Testament, right? But we'll get there on Wednesday eventually. Okay, so we think about Jesus being Lord of Lords and King of Kings. But then if we go all the way back to the time that Jesus was on trial, he's been arrested by the chief priests. He's been put on trial with them. They don't really want to have their hands dirtied. So they said, I got an idea. Let's take him to the Roman governor so that we can essentially not be held responsible for what happens to Jesus. They hate him. And so they take him to Pilate. And even in the story of Pontius Pilate, he's like, why are you bringing this to me? This is a religious matter. You could deal with this yourself. So in other words, they could have dealt with it, but they really wanted to pass the buck. So they take him to Pilate, and in the Gospel of John, there is an extended conversation that's recorded between Jesus and the Roman governor. And there is some interesting things that we can learn from this moment. So,
about what kind of king we have. Yes. So from John 18. Pilate then went back inside the palace, summoned Jesus, and asked him, "Are you the king of the Jews?" "Is that your own idea?" Jesus asked. "Or did others talk to you about me?" "Am I a Jew?" Pilate replied. "It was your people and your chief priests who handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" Jesus said, "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish people. But now, my kingdom is from another place." "You are a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You are right in saying I am a king. In fact, for this reason I was born, and for this reason I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me."
And of course, Pilate then asks that question, what is truth? But I like this interchange because it gets to the heart of Jesus, not only, at least revealing to Pilate he is a king, but of course he's not interested, as I said this, he's not interested in running a nation.
He's not interested in having an army that would fight to prevent his arrest.
Right. That's not. He's like,
Yeah.
that's what leaders of this world will do. That's what human beings do.
That's what we think of kings as doing.
Yeah, yeah, and so, and it's not very often that you have a king who's willing to give his life. He's more apt to send people to give their lives
Yes.
than a king giving his own life. But I love this moment where Pilate's like, "Are you the king of the Jews?" And Jesus is like, "Did you come up with that on your own?" It's like, you just in his face about it. Are you Mr. Smarty Pants? You come with that on your own, or are people whispering in your ear? He's like, people are whispering in my ear. But you're right, Pastor Brian. You know, he says this plane of existence is not where he rules.
Right.
And then you start to open up the idea that Jesus should be or could be the king of your heart and the king of your mind if the kingdom is not a physicality, right?
Oh, yeah.
But where is that kingdom but in our hearts and in our minds? The kingdom of God is within. That's what Jesus said in other places. And so Jesus wants to be king of our hearts and minds, which if we fully give ourselves to him, then how we live out in the physical world will be affected by the spiritual kingdom that God is building within each and every follower and believer. And once again, he's not a cosmic authoritarian wanting to rule with an iron fist so that the minute we step out of line, makes us walk the plank. And it takes me back to this place where we get a feel for the type of king Jesus is from Zechariah 9:9, which is referenced on Palm Sunday. So there's that Jesus comes into Jerusalem, but where does that idea generate from? But Zechariah chapter 9. Listen to this. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. I mean, people of Israel. Shout, daughter of Jerusalem. See, your king comes to you, righteous and having salvation, gentle and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. So you go, okay, what kind of king? But we have one who is gentle and one who brings righteousness, that's a relationship, and brings salvation, freeing us from stuff. And yet he's riding a donkey. But we have pointed out in previous Palm Sundays that that's not the kind of king most of the world wants.
You want the king riding in on the war horse.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. We want the one with the sword and the war horse, not just a donkey, but a young, inexperienced donkey who probably can barely hold his own, right? Yeah. And so we have this gentleness of God who wants to lead us and guide us. So maybe even in this moment, whether you're watching it middle of the afternoon on Thanksgiving or later in the day in the quietness, we have a king who wants to be with us in these quiet and gentle moments. Yeah. So we hope that the rest of your day is filled with thoughts of thankfulness for the things that are good in your life, and not to focus in on woulda, coulda, shoulda, or if I had only had, or I had only done. Let that go. Be thankful for what you have, and of course, extreme gratitude that we have a king who is with us in moments like these. So with that, happy Thanksgiving to you. We hope you join us this weekend for worship as we begin our journey of Advent. So
That's right.
We have Saturday night, 5 o'clock Pacific time, and then Sunday morning, 8, 9:30, 11. We will talk about generosity. We'll talk about hope a little bit. And we're beginning some of the great Advent and Christmas music too. So
what a deal.
that's right.
Here
But
we are.
until
No, it should be
then,
wonderful.
happy Thanksgiving. We love you. God bless you. Take care.
Thanksgiving.
And Philip, will you play us out?